everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the May 15th, 2025 St. Tammany Parish School Board meeting. Ms. Coakley, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Green.
Here.
Ms. Hanson. Ms. Rutherford. Here. Ms. Fauntleroy. Here. Mr. Harrell. Ms. Martin. Here. Ms. Moore. Here. Dr. Peterson. Here. Ms. Baker. Here. Ms. McCullum. Here. Ms. Lamey. Ms. Hurstis. Here. Mr. Breaux. Here. Mr. Kuzan. Ms. Rufino Gallagher.
Thank you. Our invocation tonight will be led by Grayson Mizell, and our pledge will be led by Easton King.
Podium mic, please.
Please bow your head. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together tonight as a community that cares about the future of our youth. We are grateful for the opportunity to grow, learn, and lead through programs like 4-H and FFA. Please bless the students here tonight, the animals they cared for, and the lessons they've learned through hard work and dedication. Bless the members of the school board with wisdom and guidance as they continue to make decisions that shape the lives of students across our parish. May our words tonight be thoughtful, our hearts grateful, and our actions always rooted in service and leadership. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may take your seats.
Thank you, Grayson and Easton. That was fantastic. Would any school board members like to recognize visitors? Ms. Fauntleroy?
I can't start naming names, but I'm just going to say welcome because these are my people. My kids showed, 2 out of my 3 kids showed livestock, and we thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Mr. Dennis Glass here has been around since my kids were showing. I think Hunter, now one of our ag teachers, showed with my kids. And where is Levi? Oh, there he is. Levi is the new ag teacher at Lee Road, who we were just blessed to steal from Boyette. So just welcome to all of the livestock show teams here. It's a great program and brings together kids from public school or all the schools across the parish, and even some that aren't even attending our schools to show there. So welcome and congratulations on all your awards.
Ms. McCollum?
Yes, thank you. And I will ditto everything she says, and I welcome Mr. Glass here too. We go way back at Covington High as well. I just want to give out a shout out to all the wonderful programs that are going on at the end of the school year. I had the wonderful opportunity to just drop by North Shore High last Saturday to the STEM activities that they were doing. It was North Shore and Salmon with the combustion team or something. And I was just amazed at the organization and all of the different activities. They had veterinarian, and they had a veterinarian. Well, she was almost a veterinarian. She was just about to finish veterinary school from LSU. Electrical engineers helping them, mechanical engineers helping them, the sheriff's department helping them with forensics. They were doing electrical circuits and building cars, little cars out of cardboard. I mean, it was amazing. And these were the children that attended. It was about 45, I think they said, that attended, which is they were so excited about, and I think that's wonderful. Attended. I want to congratulate or give a shout out to Mandeville Elementary and Magnolia Trace. I attended yesterday the Fountainview High Learning Community Symposium for Leader in Me, and those 2 schools were just phenomenal in all that they're doing. So impressed with both of them, and of course they had teachers and administrators there from every school in Fontainebleau High's learning community, and they seem to have really gained a lot of ideas and a lot of exciting things, and the kids were just phenomenal. Also, in one night, I attended Gail Sloan Middle's strings and band concert. And the same night, I scooted over to Lake Harbor and their band concerts, and both of those were phenomenal. And this morning, and in the morning, little kindergarten program at Marigny. So, and I know this is happening all across our parish, and it's just absolutely wonderful.
Ms. Baker?
Thank you, President Green. I would just like to thank Mandeville High School and legislator Kim Carver for bringing LSU President Tate to our parish, along with 2 of his associates. I'm not unique in this. I think that the board totally agrees. Part of our frustration is that the best and the brightest of our children are not ending up at our flagship university. And our goal for all of us is to grow our state and to keep our kids here. So I just never in the history of my public school experience have I seen the president of a university come and talk to our kids and come and talk to us and let us know that they are aware. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to money. And so they're going to make the changes that they can make in terms of communicating with our kids a little bit sooner than what they have been, which will be a great big help. But at the end of the day, I think he said we're last in the SEC in terms of what legislation money comes to what other states give to their flagship versus what Louisiana is able to give to LSU. So it's just a good feeling to know that to the parents who have been complaining, LSU has heard you and legislators have heard you, and we'll see what happens. But I'm very grateful that they came.
Okay. Mr. Alfonso? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a visitor that you wanted to recognize?
It's just real quick, yes. It won't be as
Okay.
long. I just want to say, Mr. Bro and I are very proud of North Shore High and Slidell High baseball. Both made it to the quarterfinals, I think, so great job. A lot of them, all team first district, as well as all the track teams, the FFA at the end of the year awards, all of the state competitions that we've had across the parish. We're all proud of each and every one of you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Alfonso?
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Green, Board. It's been a great week, but as always, we have a lot going on, award ceremonies and grad walks, but it's a very exciting time of year. Next week, we will be attending numerous awards presentations at schools, and we'll look forward to recognize our students for the amazing job that they do. The first video will celebrate our Teacher Appreciation Week. Last week, we celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week, and we want to thank all of those amazing educators in the district for all that they do for our students. So let's take time to celebrate our teachers with this video.
Here in St. Tammany, we are truly blessed. We are surrounded by amazing teachers, amazing staff. We do so much to grow the kid, to meet the kid where they are and grow them and push them further than they maybe thought they could. There's been a lot of change here in St. Tammany with curriculum and a lot of things that we ask our teachers to do, but they have just answered every bell, and I just can't say how blessed I am to be a part of an amazing group. People that are just so dedicated to the craft, so dedicated to St. Tammany, and just take us to the next level every day. The teachers are the backbone of every school, every campus. They set the tone every day. You know, they develop the child every day, every part of the child. They help the child grow in every facet. We are truly blessed to be surrounded by great people that just are so dedicated to the craft and so dedicated to the students of St. Tammany Parish.
Thank you guys once again. Our second video represents our School Nurses Day. Our school nurses are such an asset to the school and to the entire learning community. At this time, let's watch a video celebrating Nurses Day.
Your sugar's good today?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other issues?
No, ma'am.
School nurses are a specialty nurse that works in the school setting. We take care of children for a variety of needs. We give medication, making sure that they get the right medicine, the right dose at the right time. When students are sick or injured, we assess them, take vital signs.
So as a school nurse, I think our biggest challenge is to continue with safety for our students and health education to meet the goal of keeping them in school and being able to further their education by being in attendance at school.
I love being a nurse, especially love being a nurse in the school setting, interacting with the students. One of the most critical parts of my job is the distribution of medications. Students receive medications in school for many different reasons, and it's very important to ensure that the right student is getting the right medication at the right time.
I have type 1 diabetes. They keep track of my vitals, and they help contribute to a better school environment.
I love school nurses. They look out for me and they make me feel safe. They are my best friends.
Our last video represents School Communicators Day. Our schools are blessed to have amazing people on campuses that assist with school communications and websites. Telling our story is so valuable for every community. At this time, let's check out a video of School Communicators Day.
So as school communicators, our job is communicating to the public what it is that the school does day to day. There's so many amazing things happening at every school in the district, and it's our job to bridge that gap between what's happening internally in the school and putting it out into the community.
We're in charge of putting out news posts for the community, making sure that parents know what's happening in our schools, making sure that teachers know what's happening in our schools, and that everybody's up to date on all the awesome things happening around the district.
Students all the time will be like, oh, the website's so cool, it's really organized and really informative, and I'm like, yeah, I run that, and they're like, what? That's awesome. So I feel a little bit like a rock star.
Everybody wants that information right away, and having it on digitally on the computer, you can get it right away instantly. If we need to get a message out to parents, we can do it, in the snap of a finger. And it's cool. We work together with all the schools to make sure that everybody's getting consistent information out there.
And now that I've taken on this role, it's just amazing to see how many things happen every single day. Every single day I'm getting an email, hey, this person got a perfect score on the ACT, we're gonna go take pictures. This person's signing to this college, we need to go take pictures. Get that on the website, spread the good news.
And it's a great way to connect the students to the parents to the school, because they can see all of the awesome things that are happening on a daily basis here in the district.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Board, that concludes our update.
Thank you, Mr. Alfonso. Any questions for Mr. Alfonso? See none. Next item on our agenda is special recognitions, the St. Tammany Parish Junior Livestock recognitions. And with that, I'd like to invite Mr. Brent Spell to the podium. He is the president of the St. Tammany Parish Livestock Association. I'm pretty sure that's what it said on his shirt. Sorry? Okay. Well,
Mr. Green.
tonight, I think that's what he's here for.
Mr. Green, that's one of our proud maintenance guys.
Thank you, Mr. Spell.
Good evening. Thank you, Board. My name is Brent Spell, President of St. Tammany Parish Junior Livestock Association. Thank you for hanging with us tonight. We are proud of these young people and the work they've put into their livestock projects. To tell you more about what they've accomplished, I'd like to introduce our 4-H agent, Miss Olivia Picard.
Thank you for taking the time to recognize some of our outstanding youth tonight. In St. Tammany, we have 192 livestock exhibitors showing over 450 animals. And as the 4-H agent for St. Tammany Parish, I have the unique privilege of seeing firsthand how our livestock program impacts young people's lives, not just in the show ring, but far beyond it. These young people represent the heart of what 4-H and agriculture education stand for. The Livestock Project isn't just about ribbons or trophies. It's about raising confident, capable young leaders who learn by doing. Tonight, you're going to hear directly from 2 of our exhibitors about what this experience has meant to them, and I hope their words show just how impactful your investment in youth truly is. Thank you for your continued support for our Parish Livestock Show and our future leaders.
Alrighty. Good evening. My name is Zoe Simons, and I am a recent graduate from Pearl River High School. When I got asked to present a speech on behalf of the St. Tammany Parish Junior Livestock Association at a school board meeting, I was like, for sure, I got this. But when I started writing, I realized that nothing stuck. And it was either too repetitive or just not what I wanted to hear. So I broke it down and decided to start from the beginning. And I asked myself, how did I get my start? And this is what came of it. So in about 3rd grade, I had begged my parents on multiple occasions for chickens, just to have them. Once I finally got them, my siblings and I took care of them with selling the eggs to family and friends, and life was just so amazing. And then the following year, we went to our parish fair, excuse me. And that's when the light bulb went off. I told my mom that I wanted to put my chickens in those cages that you see when you go to walk to the amazing mini farm that everybody talks about. With her and my father being the most amazing parents that anyone could ask for, they figured out that answer for me. They got with the amazing Miss Olivia and Miss Amy, and we started some sort of club of our own. It didn't last for long, but it sparked a flame inside me that I couldn't tame. I showed my first hen, Goldie, in 5th grade, and that year I learned a lot. I learned the importance of showmanship with poultry. I learned about different breeds of chickens. I even learned the hard way that it is a disqualification to actually snip the little tips of like the wings on the chickens. That was weird. I didn't know why they did that, but you know, learning. But throughout all of that, I did not get discouraged. If anything, I grew a greater desire to be better for the next year and to show different species of livestock, in which I did. I kept showing chickens. I stopped showing pigs because I got stressed out way too easily and was really only showing them because of the bacon. I kept on showing goats and cattle, and this year during my final parish show, I was awarded with the Kathy Jo Thompson Award, in which in our world is an extremely high honor. On top of my aspirations to eventually start my very own farm-to-table restaurant, I plan on keeping my herds of La Mancha goats and Angus cattle alive and expanding. I've only been submerged in this showbiz of agriculture, as I like to call it, for about 8 years, but through all of the time, I've come to realize that many people shaped me into the young lady that stands before you today. I'd mainly like to thank my parents, my family, my friends and boyfriend, Miss Amy and Miss Olivia. I'd also like to give a huge thank to those who let me have this amazing opportunity to speak tonight at this meeting. Thank you to everyone who helps put this on and will continue to support our Livestock Association. I hope you'll have an amazing rest of your night and drive safely on your way out. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Nunez, and I'm a freshman at Covington High School. I show cattle, and I am proud to represent the next generation of livestock exhibitors. For me, showing livestock is more than just a hobby. It's something that has shaped who I am. Waking up early to feed, working in the barn after school, learning how to handle and care for an animal. Those things have taught me responsibility and discipline. My love for agriculture could not have been made possible without the support of my family and my junior high FFA teacher, Laura Ragus. Miss Ragus taught me so many skills and pushed me to learn and do more every day in her classroom. At times, I felt so special, but Miss Ragus gave that instruction and attention to all of her students, not just me. The most important role Miss Ragus played was when she mentored and motivated her students at livestock shows. If you have ever been to a livestock show, you know how intimidating the competition can be, especially for a child who is showing an animal. No matter how many times you practice and show an animal, the anxiety, fear, and anticipation are there for the exhibitors. Do you know what helps? A Miss Laura Ragus, who is there motivating and encouraging her students. She has truly made a huge impact on who I am as a person today and who I am in the livestock industry. I've also made some of my best memories at livestock shows. I built friendships, gained confidence, and learned how to speak up for myself and others. It has helped me grow into a leader and see what is possible for my future. I am grateful for this opportunity and proud to be a part of something that teaches me real-life skills and brings our community together. Thank you for supporting us and helping keep this program strong for students like me.
Thank y'all again, and I want to give Mr. Dennis a moment of your time, please.
It would take a lot longer than a moment for me to tell you what 4-H means to me. I joined when I was 9, so I'm sure I'm the oldest 4-H member here. You know, after 70 years, I'm still in it. I still love 4-H. The program is a great program. And you know, when the children start, they got their responsibilities, they have to do it. But you know the secret to it to me that I tell people all the time when they tell me they're going to start this program showing livestock, showing whatever type they show. They say, I'm going to buy the animal, but I'm not going to do the work. I'm going to say, stay out of it, because it's a family project. That's what I like about it. The mamas and daddies can't do it without the kids, and the kids can't do it without the mom and daddy. So it makes a family come together if they're in this program. I look around here tonight, I see kids like your kids. They all showed, you know. I mean, they come back. I see the same kids coming back that went through there when I went 3 generations. I'm on my 4th generation with my great-granddaughter. But I'm going to say something else about the program that involves y'all. You know, between the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office, Police Councilman now, school board, we are one of the few parishes that when we started this thing, my daughter showed in Arabic her first year. And y'all know Kara, she retired from the school board a couple of years ago. She taught, we had to show at Arabic. The following year, St. Tammany Parish built one of the #1 facilities here in our fairgrounds that we could come here and show our livestock. We didn't have to go to Arabic. We started a sale 50 years ago. This coming year will be 50 years we started our sale. Still going strong. And the reason for that is because of the support of y'all and the different St. Tammany Parish people supporting this program. Because let me tell you, we're the only parish left that has a livestock sale to sell their kids' animals. All the rest of them are gone. The district had one, it's gone. LSU had one, it's gone. St. Tammany Parish's sale and support is still here, and it's still strong, and it's from people like y'all sitting up there tonight. The whole complete parish has supported us wholeheartedly. And I can tell you about our 4-H. We have some great leaders. We really do. Olivia, I couldn't get to a meeting if she didn't send me a text and tell me when it was. I mean, and she is. She's the St. Tammany information from the 4-H office. Her and Amy, our ag teachers, there are a bunch of them here tonight. They do their job, and they need all the help they can get. I could talk to you about what ag teachers need, but we'll do that on a different day, like more days off. But anyway, I'm just glad to have the privilege to come tonight and just say something about the 4-H and the ag program, because it's a great program. And, you know, we want to keep y'all's support coming, because let me tell you, y'all been supporting us since we started this thing 50 years ago. So we don't need you to drop us now, you know, and I don't think you will. And, but it's great. It's great to be here. I feel like I'm back home. I should be asking for a ball field or something to build, you know. But it's great, and we appreciate y'all's help. We really do. And believe me, it's a #1 program for the youth. There's not everybody can do it, because everybody can have hogs and cattle and chicken. But let me tell you, 4-H has got a lot more programs than livestock. It's not just livestock. You don't have to be on a farm to be in 4-H club and ag. So let's keep that in mind. Thank y'all for recognizing the kids tonight, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Board members, any comments? Dr. Peterson, you want to queue up?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to say that the biggest salesman for FFA rather, are the students. I met Zoe when she was in junior high school, at a junior high school night, and she introduced me to some of the things that were going on in the FFA, and I was just so impressed. And then I saw her later on in high school, and she's showing me a side of beef that's hanging from the ceiling, and it's just amazing, what our kids not only are capable of, but just the knowledge they're going to leave high school with. But it started when they were much younger. And thank you, Zoe. I didn't get to say that night, but I want to say thank you. And I'm just so proud of our programs. And you're right, we need to support them because it is a family affair, and it's absolutely something that enriches the lives of our students and our community. So thank you.
Ms. Rufino Gallagher?
So I just want to say to the students, my daughter was in ag and showed sheep at North Shore, and the two girls that said it, like it builds a lot of self-confidence, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. But most importantly to the teachers, my daughter built an amazing relationship with the teachers, and y'all do an amazing job with the kids. It's almost like you're their counselors too. Unfortunately, my daughter did not do it at Boyette when she was there, but I've heard nothing but wonderful things about you from my friends' kids who have done ag at Boyette. So I think you're at Covington? Lee Road. Okay, then they're lucky to have you. So to all the teachers out there, thank you for what you do for these kids. I know I've gotten the phone calls of, Mom, I have to go back to school like it is 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, but the sheep got out. I'm like, what? So they're chasing sheep around North Shore, trying to get them back in the pen. I mean, I get it. So thank you for what you guys do. The kids are amazing, and we appreciate you all.
Thanks. Ms. Fauntleroy?
Thank you, Mr. Green. Just real quickly, as all of you were speaking, it came to my mind that the least of livestock showing is the animals. I don't mean that. That's not what my kids took away, was a pet, or unfortunately a market animal that goes to sale. But it's leadership, responsibility, cooperation. I listed some words. I had the opportunity to judge some of the competitions they do. They do public speaking. They're learning leadership. These kids that are in these programs are also excelling in all of our other programs as well. So, the animals are fun, but when you have to get up at 5 a.m. and feed them at night again and clean after them, you're learning a lot more. So, I will always support these programs. Mr. Dennis, stick around. I have a 1-year-old who's already in love with the cows, and so we'll be back soon. So, thank you all.
Thank you. I'm just always really super impressed by the well-rounded, confident leaders that 4-H consistently puts out into the community. And so would those students that are here tonight representing 4-H, would you please stand and be recognized? Our junior livestock. And would the parents, volunteers, and teachers that support these students please stand and be recognized? Thank you all for being here, and we're going to take a short recess for those that are here. If you want to stick around for the full school board meeting, you're welcome to. If not, we'll take a brief recess and let you guys take off. On the agenda is the Gifted Showcase. Mrs. Gardner.
All right. Good evening, President Green, Board. Tonight, my main focus is to highlight the incredible work of our gifted teachers, students, and their parents. But first, I would like to address a few frequently asked questions and common misconceptions. I will begin by discussing our overall gifted and talented student numbers. Currently, the state reports the numbers for both programs collectively rather than separately. It has been frequently stated that our gifted students' numbers are declining. However, when comparing schools school years with similar total student population, the statement is inaccurate. The numbers are actually higher, not lower. In 2009 to 2010, our total enrollment was 36,441. At that time, our gifted, talented student population was 5.37%. This year, we have a total student population of 36,384. I want to be clear, this is February 1st's count. Our current gifted and talented student population is 6.12%. While a year-to-year comparison might suggest a decline, this is a single data point. This single data point is misleading without considering the broader context. So when you go year to year, it does look like it's declining, but that is not statistically how you should do it. Now, I would like to highlight the various efforts we've made to expand our gifted population. Louisiana Act 688 mandates that second and third grade students who score above level on the state literacy screening, which here we use DIBELS, the whole state uses that, DIBELS 8, are considered for accelerated instruction. Currently, we use the Naglieri for this purpose. St. Tammany Parish exceeds the legal mandate by screening all second and third grade students in the effort to find students who may not be referred through traditional methods, which includes recommendations by their parents, teachers, and administrators. For the 25-26 school year, we're looking at incorporating another universal screener to continue our efforts to increase the identification of gifted students. Our second annual Gifted Showcase celebrated the dedication and hard work of our teachers and students in the Gifted program. The projects seen at this showcase were unbelievably creative. These projects demonstrated the depth and scope of instruction that the students receive in the Gifted program. The teachers' lessons are crafted to enrich and advance their students' knowledge. Teachers have the autonomy to adjust the pace of the curriculum for students who have already mastered the materials and incorporate meaningful projects to deepen students' understanding and broaden their academic experience. Teachers of gifted students are highly encouraged to utilize the many resources and supports that's included in our Gifted Google Classroom that's available to all of our staff. As evidenced by the outcome of the Gifted Showcase, the beneficiaries of this excellent instruction are the students. And now, please check out a wonderful video from Channel 13 of our Gifted Showcase.
This is our second annual Gifted Showcase.
And remember, best creativity is gifted creativity. Am I right?
It's students from around our district that have picked their favorite project that they want to be able to show off and get other students excited and talk about it.
It's the opportunity for kids to show off their hard work, their passion. Absolutely amazing. Young lady played the violin and did a whole piece for me. It just goes to show you how talented and how gifted and so many skills our kids have.
It's one thing to be able to present this project in front of a classroom, but it's another thing to actually be able to connect it to the world, to the community. This convention is kind of a testament to the Gifted program's strength, and beyond that, it's a way for our students to sort of get involved outside of the classroom to express their interests. So it's so important.
This is a big deal for our students. Last year at the end of it, one of our students said this is the Super Bowl of the gifted world. They have an opportunity to not only meet others in the gifted program, but to learn from them, have conversations, and just be excited about the projects that they have created.
We did a project where we're going to be wax figures in this museum, and people get to come up and ask us questions, and we do science projects with them.
We're really focused on, teaching them and getting them to show off the depth of knowledge they have. And so many of them have so many talents.
I want them to be proud. Today we synergized, we learned from each other, they built each other up. I want them to walk away with a smile and a full heart and just be so proud and carry that through to the next year.
As you can see, this is not what you see in a traditional classroom. This is what's done in our gifted classrooms. We also have Hamilton Rosales here today with us. He was the young man on the video and was a huge part of the Gifted Showcase, and he would like to say a few words. He's amazing.
Board and honored members,
I'd like to thank you a lot for allowing me to speak to you all today and really communicate the power that gifted education has on our youth. I absolutely love education and the very deep analysis and research that comes with really being a teacher. There's a part of being an educator that I find is often overlooked, and that is the art of feedback. There's a very particular relationship between educator and student that must be clearly established. The student receives a curriculum and completes a course, completing handouts, tests, and things of that nature. And the educator actually analyzes the course, actually gets the extra dimension of understanding that is required to teach students. But like I said, a part that is often overlooked is feedback. This, by coincidence, is something that is also very critical in event planning. As a sort of entrance exam for joining the planning committee, I was tasked with designing a survey and writing up a report to Ms. Jarvis and everybody here. I remember those nights very vividly, spending, hours upon hours staring at spreadsheets, trying to figure out what is the secrets in these numbers. In those spreadsheets and in my sample size of 71, I found a little piece of myself. It's instilled me with a very particular fascination for statistics and survey techniques, and I can only attribute that to the wonderful educators that I've had the pleasure of working with. I hope that me being able to speak to you guys, on the board is truly a testament to the power that gifted education has in our classrooms. And I hope that I can continue to serve as a beacon of change in my community, and I can continue to work with the wonderful folks here on the Gifted Showcase. Thank you.
I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Ms. Gervais, Ms. Lindsay Lawrence, and Brandy Muir for their hard work and dedication in making the Gifted Showcase so successful that we had to move it from Treen to the Castine Center this year. And I also want to thank Ms. Nikki, she's a parent that has been emailing me, and Ms. Percy for their ideas to help disseminate information to parents moving forward. So in closing, I'd like to highlight a few initiatives we'll launch next year. We will introduce a SWE website where parents can easily access information about the gifted program. We will also set up information tables at open house and other events that schools host. We will continue with our universal screening process, and we'll continue to provide ongoing professional development to our teachers. And we will also include first aid packets home to parents to explain about gifted and talented here in the district. Before I close, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I know Ms. Fauntleroy is going to do a resolution, but I want to thank our mental health providers and their wonderful leader, Ms. Janelle Stein, for their hard work and what they do in our schools, because they serve a critical role to our kids and oftentimes our faculty as well. So that concludes my update.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. As it relates to the Gifted Showcase, any board members have questions? Ms. Hurstius?
Ms. Gardner, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it and your time and everything for some of my questions. I did want to just kind of ask just real quick, and you did answer this for me, but I just want to kind of put it out there. When we were talking about the curriculum and everything, the teachers and everything have an input as far as the curriculum, and that you said that they can get that on the Google Docs, right?
Right, so we do provide them with the Tier 1 curriculum that the district uses. That's
Right.
the foundation. But even within that curriculum, you can scaffold down or you can scaffold up, and they're allowed to have outside resources, which is on the Google Classroom that they can use. So they have autonomy, especially when kids are excelling past what's in the actual book.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. And then also too, that they have a bit of control over their own schedule, correct?
The gifted teachers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so the
Okay.
schedule really comes from, I don't want to say just the teachers, but they do get with their administrators to work out the schedule of when they're going to service the kids that's going to go in that classroom, what subjects they're going to teach. That's a school-based decision, and that's where that comes from. So the schools get together with the gifted teachers. This is how it should be, so I want to be clear on that.
Right.
And get together with the gifted teachers, the number of gifted students, and then decide what subjects, what grade level, and what that schedule is going to look like. And I do want to clarify one
Yep.
thing. we don't want teachers going willy-nilly with the curriculum and the things they bring into the class. So
Correct.
they still have to go through the process of, if they're bringing something completely from the outside, to kind of vet it with their principal.
Right, of course. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I just had it and then I just lost it out of my brain. Wait, give me a second. Oh, I just had it in my brain and then I just lost it. I'll probably wind up emailing it, but I wanted everybody to know because we already discussed it. Shoot. Man, why did I should have wrote it down. And I said, no, I'll remember that. Oh, man. Oh, well.
Should we play the Jeopardy theme song?
Yeah, I know. Can I dial in a friend to try to remember what my question was? I know.
Well,
Oh,
if
that's
it-
right, wrong game show.
I'll circle over to any other board members as
Yeah,
it comes
and then
back
maybe
up.
I'll remember
Ms.
it then.
McCullum?
Thank you, President Green. I would just like to clarify, which I strongly agree with, that the gifted students, once they get to high school, many of them choose not, and we have less gifted specific courses offered in the high school, but that is, based on my understanding, since I was teaching gifted mathematics in the high school. That's been a long time ago. But now that we have so many offerings of dual enrollment classes and AP classes of all sorts, that our gifted students are choosing those courses rather than, say, a gifted science chemistry class.
Yeah, so and you really start to almost see it in 8th grade, they start to shift.
Mhm.
And yes, they are choosing AP and dual enrollment classes over gifted because colleges don't recognize gifted courses. There's no
Correct.
credit for having a gifted course. So yes, we see a lot of high school students picking AP and dual enrollment classes as opposed to gifted.
As if I were still a teacher of the gifted in the high school in mathematics, I would strongly urge them to take dual enrollment classes or AP classes in mathematics or any other subject. I think that it will benefit them more so than just a regular gifted class without any college credit.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Harrell? Our gifted
Don't
board
you
member.
dare.
Thank you, President Green. I just, since Ms. McCullum brought up her gifted classrooms, that was one of the things, I took a full load of gifted, English, math, science, history. Yeah. I was, yeah. So anyway, back to but that was the complaint back then, was you took the gifted class, the workload was really tough. Some teachers wanted to fail you. But you didn't get any, it wasn't weighted at the time. And then so it didn't really benefit your grade GPA wise.
Well, it's weighted. You just
Well,
don't
when
get-
I was there.
Oh, when you were there.
When I was
I'm
there,
sorry.
it wasn't weighted, and that was the complaint at the time, was you didn't get any extra, there was nothing besides the learning happening. There was
Right.
no benefit to having the classes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's the if you have the choice between a gifted math and a dual enrollment class, they'd probably jump into dual enrollment because at least you get something out of it further along than just taking the gifted class. So I hate to see it happen. I love my gifted and talented classes. Not all of them, just most of them. But
So they are weighted, but you do not get any college recognition.
could I get my transcripts updated then?
No. They're probably in a vault somewhere.
They were handwritten.
Ms. Rufino Gallar?
So when you were saying that, like they said, not most, but a lot of high school kids in the 8th grade, they start taking dual enrollment in AP. Are they still, even if they're not taking gifted classes, but were in gifted prior to dual enrollment, are they still counted in our percentage that are gifted, or are they not even in that percentage?
So if they are not receiving gifted services, then they're not going to be in, they still will always be gifted, but they'll just won't have an active IEP. So what we are doing, Carrie and I with our department, we're going back to try to start coding them separately, because right now gifted and talented is coded together. Even if you defer services and you don't have an active IEP, it'll drop it from ESER, because JPAMS communicates with the State Department system. So Lewis helped us get a code where we can now start to separate. And even if the state's website doesn't pick them up, then we'll be able to pick up by our coding in JPAMS that, like, these are gifted students, these are talented, these are, you know, dual exceptionality students. So we're gonna
Okay.
do that. So, I said that right? Yeah. So, so it's, another thing is if you have a disability as your primary and gifted as your secondary, then the disability picks up, so that we won't, those kids don't pick up either. So I'm
Got
gonna give
it.
you you have autism but
Yeah.
gifted, then it's gonna fall under the SWE numbers, so we need to code those kids too, because they're not in the percentage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Bro?
Yeah, I just want to clarify on when you answered her question. When you started out, you said that 6-point-something% of our students.
6.12
Okay.
right now.
But they may not, as Miss Gallagher, Rufino Gallagher,
Good neighbor.
if they're not taking any gifted classes, they are still part of that 6.12. They are not.
No.
Okay, so that's the clarity I wanted to know. So in actuality, we probably have more than 6.12.
Correct. They're not, because they don't have an active IEP, so that we have no way of.
So they
picking
don't
them.
count?
They don't count.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hurstius, back to you, or?
Yeah, I remembered. Okay, so you answered this question for me, but I just want to say it on for public record. So when they take the test, and if they, tested gifted, say just in math, they can take just gifted math, correct?
Right, so
Okay.
the way the evaluation works is students are evaluated for academics, IQ, and that's a good question, because I want to clarify something with the Naglieri. So we saw a need probably 3 years ago. We had the state law, but we also saw a need for students who were nonverbal or they may not have been academically high, so we were trying to capture IQ. So I know we've been getting a lot of, oh, my kid's gifted and didn't pass the NNAT. Well, that's because that was to capture a specific group of kids, and that it worked for that purpose. It also serves the purpose of our universal screener for the state law that we have to follow. But when you are screened, the screening comes back. You can be very high in math, average in ELA, high IQ. So when you sit at the IEP table, you have autonomy to say, I want my kid in gifted for this, but I don't want my kid pulled for this. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I see no other questions, so moving along, Ms. Fauntleroy will recognize Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Before I read this, I just want to say that I think adding MHPs to our school will forever be one of the best things we did for our system, and having an MHP at every site. So I just want to thank the taxpaying public for the ability for us to do that, because I think it truly benefits our kids. So I'll read the resolution now. Whereas May has been recognized nationally as Mental Health Awareness Month since 1949 in the United States, and whereas mental health is essential to overall health and well-being, and whereas raising awareness reduces the stigma associated with seeking treatment and increases early intervention, and whereas untreated mental health conditions are frequently cited as causes for academic struggles among students, and whereas mental health is critical to the well-being of our employees, students, families, community, and schools, and whereas St. Tammany Parish Public Schools are committed to the promotion of mental health, mental wellness, and support prevention efforts, now therefore be it resolved, in an effort to increase awareness and understanding, reduce stigma, and promote wellness, the St. Tammany Parish School Board does hereby proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the official minutes of this board, with a copy being sent to all schools as a sign of our commitment to mental health awareness. And I so move.
Unanimous second. Any comments from the public? Any from the board? I see none, and that resolution passes. Moving on in the agenda, item A is to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution providing for canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the special election held in St. Tammany Parish-wide School District Number 12 of the Parish of St. Tammany, State of Louisiana, on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds therein. Do I have a motion? Ms. Baker, do I have a second? Dr. Peterson? Before I open it up for any public comments, I'd like to invite Mr. Grant Schluter to the podium to kind of give a synopsis.
Thank you. Grant Schluter, Foley Udell Bond Council. Congratulations. Another successful bond proposal. The resolution before you is the canvass of returns required by state law. It has the final vote tally included. Reflects the very favorable passage rate. There were a number of school boards that were on the ballot on May 3rd on the same day, and all but one actually was approved by the voters, and your percentage passage rate compared very favorably with the other school boards across the state. So we will proceed expeditiously.
Thank you, Mr. Schluter. Any comments from the public? See none. Any from the board? Dr. Peterson?
I'd just like to say that I'm, in a personal comment, that I'm so proud of the St. Tammany Parish community for the support they've given the leadership of the school district, the school board, all for the sake of giving educational advantages to our students, and in such a way that it's forth-giving, because this is something that will be down the road a little bit. When it comes to the STEM program, but when it comes to renovating our schools and a more immediate reward. But thank you to the public, and on behalf of our superintendent, I just want to say thank you. So,
Ms. Hurstius?
Well, I guess I'm going to kind of say a little bit of the opposite. Because out of 275,000 residents in our parish, we only had a little under 20,000 that came out and voted. You know, we're supposed to be setting an example for our children to use our rights to go out and vote. I would hope that we had more than 10% of our population to go out and vote. Regardless if you wanted this or not. I mean, and this goes across the board of all elections. I mean, come on, people. We have people that fought wars for our freedoms. And one of our freedoms is the right to vote. And that's what we should be doing. I mean, this is for our schools. You know, we've got kids that are breathing in mold. We've got schools that haven't been touched since, what, 1960s? And like I said, regardless if you want it or not, you can't get up and vote. Regardless of this election, the last election, and future elections, come on. So I'm just saying, I really do wish that we could get more people to go out and vote. Thank you.
Couldn't agree more with you. And I would like to echo Dr. Peterson's comments that would like to thank the voters that did turn out. And these are incredibly important projects for our school community, and it's vast, the scale, the amount of schools that we're touching, the STEM center. So to get it passed, we have a number of years now with bond money that we can go out and approach these projects. And again, thank you to the community for supporting it. And so with that, let's please vote. And that motion carries unanimously. I'll give the gifted students, parents, teachers, if you guys wanted to stick around, you're welcome to, but I'll give you a quick minute to leave if you wanted to. I've been told twice now that I should offer that up, so. So if you want to stick around, you're more than welcome. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Alfonso.
Thank you again, President Green and Board. Appropriate retirement resolution of following certificated personnel subsequent to the April 10th, 2025 meeting. Amy B. Abney, Bonnie E. Cole Elementary, 23.94 years, 20.94 years in St. Tammany Parish. Lynn A. Overmeyer, Covington High, 20.91 years, 20.38 years in St. Tammany Parish.
Thank you, Mr. Alfonso. Do I have a motion? Mr. Bro, do I have a second? Ms. Baker, thank you. Any comments from the public? See none. Any from the board? Please vote. And that motion carries unanimously. Item C.
Thank you again. Appropriate retirement resolution of following employee support services personnel subsequent to the April 10th, 2025 meeting. Raymond L. Carter, Lee Road Junior High, 4.44 years, all in St. Tammany Parish.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Ms. McCullum, do I have a second? Mr. Bro, any comments from the public? Any from the board? Please vote. And that motion carries unanimously. Item D is recommends acceptance of the adoption of the Community Eligibility Provision Program. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Prevost before I accept a motion.
Thank you, President Green. After last Thursday's committee meeting discussion on the CEP program, the superintendent and I met to discuss financial options for the possible continuation of the CEP program. We listened to the board members' concern, and we also received numerous concerns from employees, school administrators, as well as parents. At the superintendent's direction, I took a hard look at possible options to provide funding for the CEP program and the food service program in general. The parish-wide construction fund is generally funded at least $3 million a year. We could utilize existing fund balance for the parish-wide fund and only fund it $2 million next year. That is a savings of $1 million that would cover the additional cost of the CEP program. I also recommend not funding construction roofing fund for next year and utilize the fund balance for that fund as well. We had planned to fund construction roofing $1.8 million for fiscal '26, so that would give a cumulative savings of $2.8 million that could be used for food service. Additionally, Ms. Lelaine has done an outstanding job of monitoring food service salaries as well as food service costs for this school year. We believe that the food service fund will end year under budget. Our self-insured workers' compensation and health insurance funds are doing well. Those funds directly impact food service employee benefits, so that could be more savings for that fund for this school year as well as next school year. So with the proposed budget changes I discussed and with potential savings to the efficiency of Ms. Lelaine and her staff, I would like to recommend that the school board continue with the CEP program for fiscal '26. The superintendent, Ms. Lelaine, Mr. Bouillon, Ms. Hart, and I are all in agreement on the continuation of the program for one more year with the board's approval. We would like the public to understand that with governmental funding, uncertainty, and our CEP percentages falling, the administration and board would need to reevaluate the continuation of the CEP program beyond next school year. The board would make the final decision on any future termination of the CEP program, and parents would be notified as soon as possible if that occurs. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and Ms. Lane is here to answer any specific program questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Prevost. I just had maybe a point of parliamentary procedure, because last week, we declined the CEP. So coming out of committee, or did we actually make a motion, or we said we would meet this?
When we asked Mr. Harrison, he said we have gone back and forth different ways, if I'm not mistaken, but if you would speak to that, because I specifically asked him, because I know Mr. Harrell said one thing, he was saying something else, that we don't normally bring it like that, but he recommended to bring it tonight for a second vote. But I'll let him speak, because I asked the question.
So, Mr. Harrison, I think the question is coming out of committee last week, the recommendation was to push the vote to this week, or was it to decline the CEP?
It was to accept the CEP. No, last week it failed. Yeah.
So it failed last week, coming out of committee, but now we've got a new recommendation coming from administration that we accept the CEP. So do we need to do anything different, or can we make a motion to accept the CEP or some other motion?
I think in general, you can make a motion to accept the current CEP. The point of committee is to have the discussion and to bring it forward to the full board vote. And it often is a case where you have variations between the committee and now. That's my general observation. As long as you clearly vote on what you're doing tonight with a motion, I think you're fine.
Okay. So it's on the agenda, and administration has recommended that we accept the CEP. Do I have a motion? Ms. Moore makes that motion. Do I have a second? Ms. McCollum seconds that motion. So we have a motion to accept the adoption of the CEP for 1 year. We'll continue to reevaluate the financial feasibility of the program. Do I have any discussion from the public? Mr. Osborne.
Thank you, Chairman Green. Brian Osborne, Federation President. In light of what Ms. Prevost offered, this is just going to be some information. I'm not going to make a recommendation one way or the other. I will say the national level of union, the AFT, supports universal lunch programs like CEP. I personally don't. If the feds are not going to pick up all of it, it's going to leave a $2.5 million hole. But again, it looks like they found a way to pay that. In 2023, the Biden administration lowered the entry level from 40% to 25%. So currently, if it was at that 40%, you wouldn't qualify. You're at 38% right now. So one thing I would like everyone to consider is, if you're going to continue this, can we study this? Let's get real data, because I heard a lot of strong emotion, but we don't really have facts. So I'm hearing things like we have kids in need, but we really don't have data since 2018, 2019. I'm hearing a lot about waste across the board, but it's all anecdotal. So if we can think of ways to study these problems. I've heard about the decline of food quality since we went to this with COVID. I don't know if that's true or false. How can we study that? So those are just some issues, and if we can think of collectively ways, and also consider what happens next, because if not this year, eventually the feds will raise that limit back up. It's coming. So how can we create something locally where maybe donations are part of this, maybe strategic interventions are part of this, but not just relying on the feds and then coming out of pocket $2.5 million. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? See none. Ms. Fauntleroy is first.
Thank you, Mr. Green. When I was listening to you read off the things that we would move, and the people who were in favor of this, that was a very large number from the roofing projects. And I wanted to know how we were going to continue to provide the needs for those roofing projects.
Yeah, there's a $3 million fund balance in roofing right now. We didn't fund it this past year to try to help balance the budget. I believe we can go at least one more year and still have fund balance at the end, just looking at the expenditures from the last 3 years. So I think that's feasible to do, and just basically we're not going to postpone any projects, but I believe we have enough money in the fund right now to cover next year's projects.
Ms. Tipton, I hate to put you on the spot, but you are. Yeah, do you think that's feasible for you to?
We'll certainly work with it.
Okay.
Ms. Baker?
Mine was about the roofing as well, so thank you.
Ms. Hurstius?
Yeah, I mean, mine was kind of about that too. I mean, we literally just took a bond out to help our schools, and now we're basically kind of taking money out for the schools. So I'm a little confused at that. And then, I mean, I feel like we're just kicking the can down the road. So we're robbing Peter to pay Paul for these free lunches and all this other stuff, when eventually we're going to have to do it anyway. And obviously, we fed kids before COVID, so let's just go ahead and handle this now. I'm not understanding, and it seemed last week, Ms. Prevost, you were pretty adamant about not wanting to do the CEP, and then now all of a sudden you seem pretty adamant to do it this week.
I'm not adamant, but I went and looked at the funding. The problem was the additional $3 million and doing those two things, and we're not taking any money away from schools. All the project will still be done. There's just money there to do it. So that's not the problem. We have paused funding to parish-wide construction in the past when we didn't have enough money in the budget, or we wanted to cover something else. We did the same thing with roofing. We did roofing this year. We have $3 million in roofing right now, and parish-wide has $13 million currently. So there's enough there, funding it partially for parish-wide and enough in the roofing. If you look at the last 3 years' expenditures, there's enough there.
So if we have a hurricane and we lose, roofing for a hurricane or a major disaster, we're okay?
Well, we have other money. If that happens, we would probably get FEMA money. But yeah, we have other money. So, I mean, I'm not factoring in a disaster in this, but we do have other funds to be able to do that. I was just tasked with trying to look at ways that we could possibly do the program at least one more year and see what happens for next year. But, I mean, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay. But, I mean, do we feel that we're kicking the can down the road, though? Because we're going to have to do this next year. And what if next year our emotions run high again and everybody's like, oh?
I feel like at some point the funding keeps getting tighter, and I do think our percentages are probably going to continue to fall, and that we'll eventually probably have to terminate the program. But I thought, doing this, we can at least look at it give it one more year and look at it again.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Harrell?
Thank you, President Green. I guess my comment's more on the parliamentary procedure side of it. I know Robert's Rules allows us to bring something up in committee that came out of committee, failed, to bring it up in the board meeting, and then, the vote could go a different way. In the 6.5 years that we've been doing this, I don't recall that we have done that before. So my concern would be, are we setting a precedent that every time something fails in committee, it should be put on at the board meeting, and we're not doing that? I hate to use Ms. Hurst as an example, but she had something last week that failed, but it's not on the agenda this week. It was, okay, I'm sorry. So that would be my concern, is that, we're setting a precedent here that we're gonna have to start doing this every time. So I don't know, maybe if we have time, I don't know, Ms. Lelaney might be able to give us that answer, to table this until next month and just start over in the process so that we stay consistent.
So I have a hard deadline of June 30th.
But we'd still beat that. Second, I think me and Matt may have talked about it. There's a family tax credit or something, I think, that gives families, it's right around 48,000, I think. I know the USDA is 32,000, where the cutoff for free and reduced. Does it violate the federal guidelines if we use that other one, the 48,000 or whatever mark? So maybe that would pull in more families?
You have to use the income eligibility chart that the USDA puts out. And that, like I told you last week, that's the only data that's currently available, is that income eligibility chart. And you have to use that. If any of you remember the paper applications, you could see the scale for where families qualified, and that's the income eligibility chart that I'm referring to. And that's available when they're doing the online application. But as I was hearing you guys speak last week, maybe when we do get ready to process applications again, we can make that income eligibility chart more available to families so they know what they're up for.
Thank you, ma'am. So that'd be my only thing, is the real concern is the parliamentary procedure side of it. I don't know if anybody wants to make that motion to table it. I hate to back them up further, but I think when other stuff comes on the agenda that fails, we're gonna have to start bringing that up.
Okay, Ms. Rutherford?
My concern is that we do have parents who can afford to pay for lunches. The majority of our parents can afford to pay for lunches. So this burden is being put on us and the taxpayers of having to come up with more money every time that we have roofing and, more concerns for our schools, which we have schools that really need repairs, whether it's roofing or other stuff. So I'm thinking that, if the 60% of our people are not eligible, let them pay. The ones who can pay, let them pay. They are not eligible. They can afford to pay for the lunch. I was a child who, my parents probably couldn't afford to pay for their lunch all the time, but they were not in that lower income bracket either. But guess what? I brought my lunch to school. We're not going to let a child go hungry. I mean, she said that last week. They're going to be fed no matter what. It's going to be a lot less cost for our school system to pay that bill than it is to pay for the lunch for everybody in the school system, for those who can pay. So I just find that's hard to swallow, and we're going to have to do it eventually. Maybe this is the time to do it, because, the time is now. We have to start looking out for the money that we need to fund our schools and take care of our properties.
We're still going to need extra money, even if you do the program for food service, so we're still gonna have to do something to fund that. Well, not 2.5, but it's at least $1.5 million. Yeah. Correct, but just to be clear, when I recommended that, there's no projects that would not occur. We were utilizing fund balance, so that was not gonna stop projects from happening. It's just a funding thing we do that builds up a fund balance, and we do projects over time. So it was just delaying a project possibly, or, with the funding, but there should be enough funding to do the projects for next year. Well, that's what I'm saying, we're not delaying anything that I would know of, unless something major came up, like a hurricane or something like that, but that's, you can't determine that.
Ms. Rufino Gallagher.
First, I would like to say, did you want to speak real quick before I go? I know you were trying to and they didn't see you.
No, I mean, I think Board Member Harrell raises a very good point. But I think if you approach it not as a function of parliamentary rules and you approach it as a matter of Louisiana law, what you're looking at is a board who sets its own agenda. So you've only got to get your agenda advertised within the rules of 24 hours so that you can have a discussion on whatever you want. And the fact that you historically have done it in committee and things tend to pass in committee and then get re-voted on in the board is somewhat repetitive, right? But this is a situation where it was a very large item. It was a heavily discussed item. The public was not here. There were no, it was so late. We're like pushing 11 o'clock at night or whenever it was. So I think the superintendent's point was well made in that in its current format, it's different than it was last week. So that option has always been there. For the 5 years I've been doing it, it just doesn't happen very often. So there's not a rule that I know of that would say, for example, right now, you could open the agenda with a unanimous vote and pull something from last week if that's what the board wanted to do. So I take the position the board sets its own agenda. You follow your rules on setting the agenda. This board last week wanted to have it on the agenda again. There's nothing preventing it. So I don't think it's going to happen very often is what I'm saying. It could.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you. Okay, so I have some questions. So parish-wide construction. We always borrow from general funds to fund parish-wide construction because we always go over budget.
We don't borrow, we transfer money.
Not borrow,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we transfer money every year. We've done that since that fund's been formed.
Correct. So
It's different amounts. There's been years we didn't fund it, back in the, maybe 10, 12 years ago when we had budget difficulties, 2011, 12, and 13, that we didn't fund it, that we used the fund balance that was there to do the projects. So this is not something unusual. We've cut it back several times. A couple years ago, last year, we did not fund construction roofing. We didn't do any transfers because there was a balance there. And there's still a balance there, and there will be a balance there, so.
Okay, so my question is, since we normally, on a regular basis, take money from general funds to fund it, now we're going to take $1.5 million from it to do the food service. which is probably going to mean we're going to dip into general funds even more because we gave up $1.5 million.
No, no. There's enough there to do the projects right now for next year, just projecting out. There's enough there. And there's also some money, some investment money that's going to be left over in 2019 when the last project is done that can be used for parish-wide projects as well. I didn't bring that up, but that, we don't know that number yet, but.
Okay, so then, I agree with, I forget who said it over there. For the kids who didn't pay for lunch.
Right.
In the last time we had them pay for, it was $62,000.
Correct.
That's a much smaller pill to swallow
I
than
said that last week.
$2.5 million.
Right.
And then, maybe I'm not understanding fund balance, and it's a different one where I used to work, but we always try not to dip into fund balance. We're
Not-
trying to keep, hold on.
Not with
what-
capital projects.
No, in general, just in general. We're supposed to have 3 months' worth, isn't that what fund balance is?
No, not with capital projects.
Okay, can you
would-
explain that then? Because you
Okay.
keep saying dip into fund balance, and like, you always tell us we do not want to dip into fund balance.
That's for general
So I feel
fund.
like it's a contradiction, so if
That's
you'll
for general
explain.
fund. Capital
Okay.
projects funds, you can utilize fund balance for those. Those funds are not budgeted. We budget them, but they're not required to be budgeted. So those are just there to do projects. There's no fund balance requirement on a capital project fund. General fund, yes. That's your main operating fund, so you don't want to dip into fund balance there. But the other funds, we go into fund balance all the time with different funds that we have. I mean, that's not unusual. If it's built up, you want to utilize the fund balance for those funds and keep them closer to zero so that you don't have to fund more from general fund. That's not unusual. We just have a large list of parish-wide projects, but they're probably, it's not going to all get, 13 million is not going to probably get spent next year. And like I said, there's some other money that's there that we could probably use. But I'm only talking 1 million for parish-wide, so it would be funded too. I mean, it's the board's decision, but I'm just trying to give you some options.
No, and I get it, but
Because I received a lot of emails from board members about this, so.
Right, I just
yeah,
agree with Ms. Hurstis that like it was, like literally last week, you were almost at a hard nope, we can't do it.
Right.
And now all of a
Right.
sudden, which I would have thought that we would have looked into this prior to coming to the meeting last week of where we could shuffle some money, and it wasn't brought up, and
I
now all of
wasn't
a
asked to-
sudden.
I wasn't asked to do that.
No,
So,
I'm not,
yeah,
I'm not,
yeah.
but usually you do it without being asked, like, like, hey,
No.
but then it just seemed like we did not have the money last week, and all of a sudden now we miraculously have
I
this
didn't say we
money.
didn't have the money, I just gave you the facts of what that fund costs. I wasn't asked to go and try to find money to pay for the program, they just said it's gonna cost this, and that, I wasn't involved in that decision, so that's what it is. I mean, they just got the numbers, so I'm just giving you another option. The fund still costs us money, we're still funding it, but we've made decisions in the past where we have more employees than most school districts. We have funded student meals partially. We don't charge them the full cost. We funded employees at one time, not the full cost. So all that has impacted that fund over time. So we have a lot of employees, and every time we do raises, that fund is, there's just not enough funds there in revenue to cover it. And that's going to continue whether you're in CEP or not. It
Right,
will
but
just be a
don't-
lesser effect if you're not in CEP.
But don't we charge employees full price of how much the meal
Now, but
costs?
we didn't in the past.
Right, but we are now, so that's
Right.
a null and void point. We're
Right.
charging them, if it's $5 to make the meal, we're charging them $5.
Right, but most school districts have a fund balance in their school lunch, and we've had to dip into their fund balance, and they will have no fund balance possibly at the end of this year. So that means general fund has to fund more to cover any deficits that you have.
End of this school year or next school year?
Into this school year, they had about 2.3 million at the beginning of the year, which we budgeted that would be gone at the end of the year. We're funding 9.4 million out of general fund for this year, so that would make it with the CEP, with the raise, the fund balance gone, we would have to fund 13.7 million roughly. So that was an increase of, 2.8 million, 3.7 million that we would have to fund. So I found that 2.8 from the parish-wide and construction roofing, leaving 900,000. That would probably be absorbed possibly with the health insurance and the workers' comp, because that does impact, they have so many salaries. If those numbers go down, it helps that fund.
Right,
Just
but
like it
if
helps
those
general
numbers
funds.
go up, then we're,
Well, they're not going up. No, we know their workers' comp, Mr. Davis has been doing a great job. That is consecutive years gone down. So that's not the problem. And health insurance, we're showing a surplus at the moment. So that's
and
what we're
even
anticipating.
including the kids who can pay the whatever, $1.50, whatever it was, that going into it and given the account of how many kids maybe have paid in 2019, which was the last time we charged for lunch, that amount of money going into this program is still going to give us a $2.5 million deficit.
No, I mean, I think she said, I'd have to ask.
She's right there.
I believe it was 2 million, it would be difference, that we'd have 2 million more added back.
That we had previously collected from the families paying for lunches. Yeah, it was approximately 2 million in the last year, but with the cost increase, that could obviously go up.
Right, so
These are just projections, we haven't, we haven't compared, haven't had any true comparison numbers because we don't collect those free and reduced forms. We all of a sudden take away that reduced, reimbursement that we get from the USDA by taking on this CEP. So that's where those deficits come. And, when I brought this to you last week, I was looking at history and trends. So the history was, I had previously said it was going to be 1.6 because we were comparing 18-19 numbers to the current year. And then I looked at the reimbursements that we had gotten from the USDA through the, CEP program, and it was going to be an additional, approximately $400,000. And then if we compared this year's numbers to that percentage decrease, that was going to be another $480,000. So that's where that 1.6 plus the approximately 900,000 adds up to that deficit. And that's the best I could do. That's worst case scenario because we don't have the data to truly compare it because we're not getting those free, reduced, and paid actual numbers. Okay. And to your point about the 60% of the people would still be able to pay, it is multiplied, that 38% is multiplied by 1.6, which they call the percentage of applications that you could potentially collect if you were on traditional funding. And so we only get that 60% paid rate and then that other 40%, that 60% free rate and that other 40% is at the paid rate. So that's how that reduced funding goes away. And that reduced funding is almost as much as the paid funding. Say $4.34 for a paid, for a free kid, and then for a reduced kid, you would get $4.14 because you can only charge them the 40. And then for the paid kid from the USDA, you only get 54 cents.
Okay. Thank you.
I also looked at some national trends, looked at some data throughout the country on this, and people that came off the full meals being paid for and went back to the traditional, they found that people that can pay didn't want to pay because why am I not getting it free anymore? So you probably would see a larger than $62,000 bill, just guessing and just looking at the data. That doesn't mean it would happen that way here, but the other data that I've seen suggests that possibly so.
And I'm going to be probably not liked by many people watching this show right now. But like, if my daughter has an outstanding library book, she can't graduate if she doesn't pay the fine. So I just need to know if somebody can tell me the difference.
So I think it comes, and again, I would research this for you, but I think it comes in all the USDA regulations that my funding comes from, whereas the library fees don't have those regulations that they fall under. So the school is able to be a little tougher on the collections. But because we have all these rules about not being discriminatory towards students and feeding them no matter what, I think that's, why we have gotten in trouble at some schools in the past that didn't let kids, go to dances because they had a lunch balance. And that had to go away because of some of the USDA regulations. So I think maybe that would be the answer to what you're asking.
Okay, if you can find that out for me, I'd appreciate that.
I'm pretty sure it is, but yes, ma'am, I'll find
Okay,
exactly where
thank
it's
you.
at.
Dr. Peterson?
All right. First, I want to thank Mr. Bouillon for sending me the data that you sent me, and trying to find out the percentages of the high schoolers that were in there. And through some difficulty, manage that. But nonetheless, I did want to say that we currently do have a mechanism for identifying students who need help with paying their lunches, free and reduced lunch, and that's through the application process. So that is the mechanism to address the students who need to eat. There's something in place, it always has been, and it still is. We're going above and beyond that. And I'm a proponent for feeding our children. If we do the CEP program for this year, that's just fantastic. But there is a mechanism there, and all it requires is that you fill out the form and send it in if you're the parent. And I suggested this last week, and I think I got a chuckle out of someone, but I said, well, we're smarter than that. We just need a strategy to make sure that all the kids fill out these applications, or the parents fill them out and get them into us. And then our kids will be taken care of. And I still have that, and I don't know what the chuckle meant, but I'm just saying that we need to find a way to get that done. And I don't think that's a board decision, a strategy. That's a strategy that comes from the staff, the superintendent. And I think his people are pretty bright, and they can, if you just say you require everyone to do that, it's a requirement. And everyone turns it in, and we just go through the applications and take care of the ones that warrant free and reduced support. So with that mechanism being in place, and it's just a matter of someone filling out a piece of paper to help feed your child. I'll vote for CEP if that's what we want to do, and I love feeding our kids. I want to do that, but knowing that even if we didn't pass the CEP, that the mechanism that has always been there is still there, so that no child will go hungry, and that all we need to do is fill out a piece of paper. And if I need to knock on parents' doors to make them, remind them that we need a piece of paper fed, if that's a strategy, I'd do that. But I think that we can come to some idea among the staff of the superintendent how to get those applications filled out. And we wouldn't be having this discussion. Thank you.
Ms. Martin?
Thank you, President Green. Couple of things. I do not like that this did not pass last week, and we are voting on it again today. This is very, very confusing to me. Last week, this was going to cost us upwards of $13 million, and now we're going to be able to find the money. That's very, very confusing. If we have 13 million or millions that likely are not going to be spent, that you just said, and we can take money out of parish-wide and that's not really going to have an effect, then I don't understand why we've been aggressively, cutting positions within our school buildings and in our system. We've been trying to find money because we are in a deficit. So we've been cutting down the number of employees that we have, among other things. There are also schools that did make the list for the bond that still need more done to their school buildings. There are schools that did not make the list that could use renovations to their schools, to their buildings. So any money that we take out of parish-wide can go to that also. I don't want to do this for another year and just see what happens, because we all know without a doubt that this is something, whether it's next year or 2 years from now, we are not going to be able to do. So we talked last week about, we have plenty of churches that donate to our schools. We have parents and businesses that will also donate to our schools. Ms. Prevost said that when we were paying, and I know that this happened because parents had come to me about this, I would put money in my Payments Plus for my kids when I had to pay for their lunches. And at the end of that year, there were balances left on accounts, right? And so parents were calling, asking, they weren't going to fight for their 20 bucks, their 50 bucks, whatever it was. They just wanted to donate it to the school. So, without even trying, you said there was $10,000 in donations, right? So, and that was without even trying. So if we went to some of our business partners, if we went to community members, very easily put some button on My Payments Plus and said, would you like to donate to the kids at your school who can't afford lunch? People would do that at certain schools. And that could go into a general account that, could go for the whole district. It just doesn't make sense to me. We all know it's something we can't sustain. And I have talked to, my head food services employee at Mandeville Elementary, and she assured me they are never gonna let a kid go through that line and not get food. Okay, we talked about that last week too. As a parent, popular or not opinion, it is my responsibility to clothe my children,
to feed my children and to keep them safe. And I feel like if we have families that are truly in need, we are going to help them, whether that be making sure they fill out the form. We have community partners help that school. They're going to get fed anyway. Our kids are going to get fed. And the impact of going back to how we used to run food services is going to have, even if we have to pay for the kids who can't pay, it's going to be less of a financial impact than what we were told last week. That's my thought.
Thank you, Ms.
Can I
Martin.
clarify something? This program's not costing 13.5. We are still going to be funding food service, regardless if you're on CEP. It's just going to be a less amount. The 13.5 is the total funding for food service, not just CEP. CEP was only 2 million. So, and we're not taking money out of parish-wide. We just don't contribute for the current year, the current upcoming year, the same amount we do. We have altered those amounts for many years. We didn't finish construction roofing last year. We're not taking money out of the fund. There's money there. So that's, I just want to clarify that because we're not taking any money out of that fund.
Ms. McCollum?
I thought I canceled, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm good.
Mr. Bro?
Thank you. As you know, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I reviewed the video 2 and 3 times and went through it all. And I wasn't even going to speak tonight because I felt that since it had failed last time, that was going to be the continued vote. But I haven't heard too much in support of keeping the CEP. So I need to go on record to say that this is a good program. It's beneficial to the community. I agree with Harold, Mr. Harold, that if it's rejected at the committee board meeting, it really shouldn't come up over here. There are exceptions. I don't think this would qualify as one of those exceptions. Secondly, if I don't think you even need to vote on this because it's already in place. The only vote you would have is if you wanted to discontinue it. I mean, it's in place, and unless you're going to change something, you don't need to vote to continue something that's already there. So those are the 2 reasons I wasn't going to speak. But since I've been hearing all this negative stuff toward this, I'm kind of confused, and I think I need to step up. I thank everybody who sent me the numbers. You know, I built my spreadsheet, and I said, okay, how beneficial is this to the community as a whole? Granted, it cost us $2.5 million. It's an increase of 0.877 million, 877,000 we're talking about, difference between what we're doing now and with the lower rates, less than a 2% increase in the number that would be eligible. So a very small amount of money we're talking about, and we've been talking a lot about it. I think it's beneficial to the community. When I did the numbers, thanks for all the help. They said, okay, based on this year and this year, the number of meals served, and I have a spreadsheet, number of meals served. I figured out how much were going to the elementary, how much was going to the 7 through 12, the cost of the meal, how many would be free. And the numbers, of course, they're the best guess, but they came from the staff. And I calculated the cost that parents would have to come up with for all the thousands of meals. And it turns out that the parish benefits, because these parents are going to pay $4.6 million less because of this program. So we got 2.6 million or 2.5 million that the school board's paying, but we're saving the parish and the parents 4.6 million. And we're feeding all the kids. And they don't have, at the end of the year, the 62,000. We don't have the problem of filling out all the forms. We don't have the problem of keeping the records and making sure that PII doesn't get out. It's vastly beneficial to the parish to do this. And I think the parents would appreciate it. Not having to not having to cough up that extra, many of the parents here, it's not a problem. I'm telling you, when my kids were growing up, paying the lunch was a big deal. I have 10 kids, so, you know, you cough up that money every week, and, you know, it's hard to make ends meet, period. But coughing up the lunch meals is just extra. You know, you keep saying that it's going to get worse, and maybe it will. We have to evaluate it every year. The FDA may change the eligibility rules. You know, if it stayed at 32,000, maybe it's going to go up. We don't know. I was very interested in seeing the fact that other parishes do it for much less than we do. And I know we mentioned food safety and stuff like that, but people can deliver meals. Maybe we need to start a pilot project for a couple of our schools that are nearby each other, where we have one staff that cooks the meals for the surrounding schools. Is that a possibility?
So it's not like you can just make.
I said a pilot project.
But I need to explain to you how that would work. You can't just make meals and load them up in somebody's car and take them to the next school.
No,
you have
no.
to have all of the warming equipment, and you have to have a designated vehicle, so that then there would be a vehicle cost, and then there would be insurance cost, and then you have an employee on the road, and so there's a liability. I'm giving you the facts for what you're saying.
We can, if other parishes are doing it, I don't think it's impossible.
I hear you.
Okay.
I'm giving you the facts for it.
I'm just saying that maybe we look into it.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, I'm in favor of feeding the kids. And I'm in support of continuing this. Reevaluate it every year. I mean, the numbers are going to change. But for right now, it's beneficial to the parish, it's beneficial to the kids, it's beneficial even to the school system. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Bro. Back to you, Mr. Harrell.
Thank you, President Green. I know some of my schools, they may be different than other schools. You know, I talked to Mr. Kuzan, I know he's got concern for his community. And last Christmas, I had a kid tell me he wished he had lights. And I thought he meant, it was at Christmas, at a Christmas party. I thought he meant Christmas lights. The kid meant lights, electricity at his house. That's what he wanted at his house, not hanging lights from the eaves. So I don't think it's that parents don't want to feed their kids. Some of them, they can't. They can't keep the lights on. So I think this program is very important. One of the things that does bother me is we're pulling money out of other budgets. I'd be curious, slightly off topic, like maintenance budget. You know, one of my schools needed some work done. There wasn't enough money in maintenance to do the work that was needed at that time. So, I mean, if we take money out of one budget, it doesn't mean that there was extra money in that budget. It just means that much money is not getting done by that department. So that's really a concern, is pulling some money from one different departments. I know Ms. Tipton says she'll make it work, but that's not going to be an easy. She's being really nice saying she'll make it work. I'm still concerned about the parliamentary procedure. I mean, I think if the question's asked, you know, what's the recommendation from the chairperson of that committee, they say the recommendation's no, we could still vote on it. It's okay to be on the agenda, but that does raise a precedent for future agenda items that fail. If I bring something up in June and it fails committee, I'm going to be mad that it's not on the board meeting after this meeting. So that said, since it seems like the hard date is June 30th, I think if we have a little more information coming, maybe from food service, and give us some time to get some of these questions answered, we could make a quick vote, should pass. Mr. Braun, I know you had mentioned it could keep continuing. I think when we originally did this, we stated it would be for 4 years. So I think we have a hard date to end. I think the board said it when we did it 4 years ago. I'd like to table this motion until next week, and let's do it right. Next month, I'm sorry. Let it pass committee, if it passes, and then vote on it in the board meeting like we should.
Okay. So is that a motion to table?
Yeah, motion to table.
Mr. Harrell, do I have a second? Ms. Fauntleroy, any discussion from the public to table the motion? Any comments from the board to table the motion? Ms. Hurstius?
No.
Okay,
Just to table.
just to table?
No, I know.
Ms.
I know.
Rufino
I just,
Gallagher?
I'm trying to figure out, like, tabling it just puts it back on the agenda in June. But it was on the agenda last month. But at the meeting, it was agreed upon that even it was a no vote, we asked for some data, and they provided the data for us to vote on it again today. It was, Mr. Harrison agreed that it was unusual, but it's not against the law, from what I'm gathering from last week.
No,
It's absolutely clear that I said you could put it on the agenda. I didn't say you should. I recognize it's unusual.
Right.
You have changed the program from last week. So procedurally, yes, it's probably flawed, but substantively, it doesn't matter because you can vote for it now or mimic your vote from last week and vote against it. So look, you voted against it last week, voted against it right now, it's done. You see, I gave the board an option to be respectful among all board members who had a lot of passion on this topic, who wanted this to pass, but it failed. So you're getting a second bite at the apple is all you're doing. Now, procedurally, the next time something fails in committee, you don't have to pass it on. That's what you normally do, but it doesn't mean you couldn't if the board agreed to do it. So last week, the board agreed to pass it along. And legally, I said you could.
Right.
I didn't say you should. See the difference?
Yes.
So like, I just want to say this again. Mr. Bro wasn't here. It sounds like, and I have no idea, he's for the program. But it failed last week. So if it weren't before the board, he wouldn't cast a vote in favor with the changed data, the changed information from the finance department. So I will support the board on all of its decisions to table, to do the vote tonight. I mean, it's strictly a board decision, and it's legal no matter what you do.
Right, so that's what the motion was. If it failed, we were agreed to bring it back today with the other information. So I don't think we're going against law to not have it here tonight. It's an unusual circumstance, but it can happen.
No, I know it's not against the law. I'm just, it's a precedent. So the next time something comes up that, oh, we changed the information, let's just move it forward despite it failing. No.
I think we unanimously agreed to move it forward, so we'd have to unanimously agree to move it forward or it doesn't move forward, if I'm not mistaken.
Dr.
No,
Peterson?
I'll pull my table.
Okay.
I mean, somebody else could table. I'm just asking just from what you were saying, I didn't think that was accurate information, so I wanted to make sure I understood.
No, and Robert's rules allows it. It's fine. I'm just saying the precedent that we currently have is we have a committee as a whole meeting. If it's a positive vote, it moves forward. And if it's a negative vote, it doesn't. I don't know in the history, in the last 6.5 years of doing it, where we voted something down and then we put it on the agenda. But moving forward, I would hope we do that every time. That's just my thoughts.
I'm not gonna, were you here last week? I don't remember. Okay.
Okay, so we're back to the original motion. A vote in favor of continues the CEP program. A vote no, we revert back to students filling out free and reduced applications, and those that do not qualify would pay for their lunches. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry, you got back in the queue, Ms. Hurstius? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Microphone.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm, Ms. Prevost, again, from last week, because Mr. Bro came up with a different number. So I want to ask, what is the difference? What is the total amount that we would pay St. Tammany Parish out of pocket if we use the CEP and if we don't use the CEP?
Okay. So just for CPPE, she gave you a number of 2.5 million. That's counting what we spent last year and this year. Is that correct? It's like 2,477,000. So that's the cost of just the CEP. The other costs I gave you are just the general cost of us funding additionally for food service because it's not covering the salaries and benefits.
Right, and you said that was like 3.7 total?
That was 3.7.
Okay,
And
with
she-
the 2.5, so total of 3.7.
Would be the increase. And she's saying that if we do not do the CEP, it would probably be another 2 million. So we'd still be looking at 1.7 additional funding.
Okay, so 1.7,
Correct.
okay. Difference.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Brode's number, he was talking about savings, the public, what they save, when you talked about your numbers, not mine necessarily.
4.6.
Yeah, he calculated a cost for the public to pay for lunches.
Right,
So that's
okay,
why. the
so
numbers
when
were
he
different.
brought up the 800,000, when he was saying that the only difference is 800,000, that's where I was confused. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, 800,000, but no, it's really 1.7.
No. The difference for just the CEP for the projected for the coming year would be 877, 951, 87. That's where he's getting 800,000. We had already paid 1.6 for this current year. So you add those two together, the total cost for the program for next year would be like right at 2.5 million. So he's saying 800,000. That's the additional cost that CEP would cost us for this coming year. That's the additional.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right.
But if we were, okay, so for next year, what would be our out-of-pocket, just because you're throwing a lot of numbers at me?
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
I'm not Rain Man,
Yeah.
okay? What is it going to cost us next year if we do not have the CEP out-of-pocket total?
Well, we haven't done budgets yet, so like she said, we don't know what food costs are and
But
everything.
just projected.
Just doing based on the current numbers, knowing what the raise will cost, 1.7 million roughly.
Okay, so it's gonna cost us 1.7 out of pocket, and then you would have to take that out of
General fund.
general fund, which would be out of basically roofing.
No, not out of roofing. We transfer money from general fund to food service to cover.
Okay.
What I was talking about doing was not transferring as much to construction roofing or parish-wide.
Right.
To offset that.
To
With the
offset it.
additional transfers we've got to do to food service.
Okay.
That's a possibility.
Okay.
So that's one option.
One option.
Yeah, and we've done that before. Like I said, we did not fund construction roofing last year at all.
Okay.
We just, there's a surplus built up in that fund.
Mm-hmm.
And the costs haven't exceeded that surplus yet. So we wrote off that last year. And I'd planned on funding it this year.
Mm-hmm.
But it is possible to go another year with just writing off fund balance. But, if you don't do CEP, 1.7 million's got to come from somewhere.
Right, okay, I just wanted to.
Right.
Okay.
From general
A lot
fund
of numbers
somewhere.
there.
General fund somewhere. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. At least 1.7, maybe more. Yeah.
I'm going to go to Ms. Moore next. She was in the queue.
Very much. Question for you. Last week, you told us that people to qualify for reduce was like a $32,000
That's the income eligibility chart.
eligibility.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's going to be difficult for some people
Yes, ma'am.
that make minimum wage to be able to qualify.
Correct.
And again, I know the money is a lot, but I go back to my days teaching and being a principal, knowing that there are children, and I'm sure Mr. Kuzan would say the same thing, that needed this. A lot of them don't, they just get by,
Yes, ma'am.
as Mr. Harrell said about the light situation. And I think we need to think of them, because we're here for the kids. Thank you.
Ms. Rutherford?
Okay. I have a question. How much money did we transfer from the general fund to fund the construction last year?
Parish-wide was 3 million, construction roofing was 0.
Okay, so we did have to transfer money from the general fund?
We didn't have to, but we did. We just normally
Okay.
do it every year if we can afford to do it, and we just keep that going, and as the projects come up, we're funding. I mean, the whole list of projects, we don't have enough money in parish-wide, but they're
Right.
not gonna all occur in one year.
Right.
So it's just a delay, and we also have some excess money, like I said, I don't know the number total yet, that from the 2019, because I've invested the money, and there's some money left over. We had premiums, so some of that can be used for parish-wide projects once we finish the last project, which is a
Okay.
driveway, I believe, in it. So that can be used too. So that was my thinking. But there is enough money there probably definitely for construction roofing to cover it. But it's the board's decision.
Okay,
But we've played with those transfers before
Mm-hmm.
and reduced them if we needed to make up money somewhere else. That's not unusual.
but it's still gonna cost us more money.
Oh, the program's definitely going to cost more money, like I said last
Right.
week.
So it's still gonna cost more money.
Food service is going to cost us more money with or without CEP, and it's
Right.
going to continue to do so every time we do a raise.
Right, so
so that's just part
now,
of it.
we're gonna be, every year it's gonna cost us more and more. So it's gonna be more, you know, it's gonna be difficult.
Process. Well, you have
every
to
year.
evaluate every year, but,
Right.
but with all the emails I received and the board members,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm trying to give you an option. It's going to cost money. We knew it was going to cost money, but it's an option for you to vote on. Mr. Kuzan particularly said, can we look and see if there's any options? So I gave you an option.
Right,
Right.
so, but even the parents who can't afford to pay it, their kids will still get fed.
Correct.
We're still gonna feed them.
Right. And-
We're still
yeah.
gonna, we're not gonna let any child go hungry.
Right.
Yes, but we're gonna pay a whole lot less if the people who can afford to pay for their lunch, pay for their lunch. The people who can pay for their lunch, pay for their lunch, and the ones who can't, we'll help them out. Trust me, my school, Lion, there's a lot of students there who need help.
Sure.
I'm not wanting them to go hungry. I want them to be able to have their lunches. But I do still feel that students who can pay should pay, you know? Thank you.
Ms. McCollum, I don't think you've spoken yet.
Thank you, President Green. Ms. Elaine, I want to clarify something that we talked about today.
Yes,
when
ma'am.
I talked to you on the phone. I actually voted yes for the CEP last week, and I will vote yes again. But I want to clarify something. When students go through the line and suppose we don't adopt the CEP, and students go through the line and they don't pay, and we feed them, then who absorbs that cost? Because we
historically-
still will have a cost.
Historically,
If
it's
they
come-
end up, it's on their account. Will you explain that process?
So historically, it's come from the school's account, like
Each
at the
individual school.
Yes, at the school that I was previously at when I was a manager, I would reconcile all the accounts, total all the unpaid balances, take it to the principal, and the principal would write a check out of school account that had to be deposited into school food services account from the school.
So that means when there are children that could even pay for their food because they can't afford it, or the reduced kids don't pay for their 40 cents or whatever, then eventually that cost can go back to the schools. Am I correct?
That was, yes, how it's historically been done.
So we would, in a sense, be paying for that.
We still would be paying for it.
We
yes.
would still be
As
paying
a
for that.
district, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Peterson.
And we've had great discussion about this, and I know that we want to be reasonably, responsible, fiscally responsible. You want to be reasonable because we're dealing with children, parents who are maybe on a financial line of having to do more maybe than other families to feed their kids or to send them to school with lunch money. I know that we have a mechanism in place, and that's to fill out the free and reduced lunch form. And I think that we really should. That's a responsibility of parenthood in public schools. But I also want to make sure that if we have something that is available to us and we don't use it, and it will be better for our kids this school year, then that would be irresponsible on my part, I believe. So when we say we can feed our kids, we can do this, we have a way to get this done, why in the hell would you say don't do it? Oh, because we might have a leak in a roof one day. I don't think you do that. I think you make your decision on what you can do, and it's right for kids. And it's real simple. I mean, I think San Tammany has always had that motto at least from as far back as I can remember. If you do what's right for kids, you'll be doing the right thing. And so right now we can, We have the capacity to do this with the CEP. I congratulate and appreciate Mr. Bro's research and comments, because it, to me, that kind of seals the deal. The only reason you go in the other direction is just to pinch pennies, and I know you want to be, fiscally responsible, but I don't ever want to be child irresponsible. So I'm going to vote for the CEP. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Board members, please vote.
Terry, can I clarify? You said fiscal year 26 or school year 26?
It's for fiscal 25-26. That's school year 26.
Okay, and that motion carries 7 yeas, 5 nays. So we will continue the CEP for one more year and reevaluate. Next item is the consent agenda. Are there any items that board members would like to see removed? Okay. I'll read the consent agenda. Item B is approval of the minutes for the special meeting held April 8th, 2025. Item C, approval of minutes for the regular meeting held April 10th, 2025. Item D recommends acceptance of a resolution for enforcement of traffic regulations in school zones and student transfer areas. Item E recommends acceptance of a resolution to end LEAP. Item F recommends acceptance of Fontainebleau High School additions as substantially complete, subject to architect's recommendations, submission of all regulatory requirements, and approval of Superintendent Jabia, STPPS project number 1945. Do I have a motion? Ms. Rufino Gallagher, Ms. Hurstius with the second. Do I have any comments from the public? Mr. Bro? I'm sorry, Mr. Osborne?
We keep doing that to each other, Chairman Green. It's a trend. Appreciate y'all. I just want to say thank you to Michelle and this entire board for your resolution to end LEAP. I hope other districts are going to join the leadership you've shown. The board has a history of that, going back to the stand against Common Core. This could be the year we do this. So the bill is no longer called SB 105. I'm not really sure what they changed it to, but that's the one that's supposed to execute the vision that the board set. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Please vote on the consent agenda. And that motion carries unanimously. Number 5, public comments. Mr. Broom.
Thank you. Robert Broom from Slidell, and I'm speaking tonight with regard to the St. Tammany Parish School Board Audit Committee held a meeting this week, Tuesday evening, and I wanted to bring one thing to the attention of the board and to the public. Every time the audit committee meets, we go through a lot of school audits that are produced by our dedicated internal auditors, and in almost all the cases, there's always some paperwork issue that the internal auditor found, that somebody didn't sign a form on time or something. There's always an item. Small, not a big deal. He catches them. The principal says he'll work harder next time, et cetera, et cetera. We read a lot of those reports. This last week, we went through a bunch of the reports. I wanted to give a shout out to Carolyn Park and to Riverside, because they aced their tests. They did absolutely perfect. There were no issues found. That is unusual, having read a lot of these reports, and I wanted to make sure those two schools got some public acknowledgments for doing a really, really good job on taking care of their financial procedures. So kudos to Carolyn Park and to Riverside. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Broom. Mr. Osborne?
Oh, wait, thank you.
Okay. Elizabeth Rhodes? Rhodes? She take off? Okay. A few announcements. School and offices will be closed on Monday, May 26th for Memorial Day. The committee as a whole meeting for June will be Thursday, June 5th at 6 p.m. The June board meeting will be on Thursday, June 12th, and there will be a special board meeting immediately following the June 12th meeting for the purpose of superintendent's performance review. And with no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Do we have another meeting
On the 28th?
I didn't put that notice out yet, but yes.
When is it?
Yeah, what is it, May 28th at 5? Yeah, so there is a special board meeting, May 28th at 5. Thank you, Mr. Bro. No further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.